What if I told you that NASA just shut down the most expensive telescope in human history after it discovered something on Mercury that wasn't supposed to be there? The James Webb Space Telescope, designed to peer into the deepest corners of the universe, turned its golden mirrors toward our solar system's innermost planet and found geometric patterns, organized structures, and thermal signatures that defy every natural explanation we have. The discovery was so shocking that NASA immediately suspended all observations and classified the findings, but not before the data leaked to independent researchers who are now asking the unthinkable question: is Mercury artificial? The James Webb Space Telescope, humanity's most advanced eye on the cosmos, was built with a very specific mission in mind. Its primary goals were to peer into the earliest moments of the universe, uncover the birth of galaxies, and examine the atmospheres of distant exoplanets for possible signs of life. No one truly expected it to turn its gaze toward the smallest, innermost planet of our own solar system. Mercury, for decades, has been dismissed as little more than a scorched ball of rock orbiting too close to the Sun for anything remarkable to exist. From Earth, Mercury has always been notoriously difficult to study. The Sun's overwhelming glare blinds most telescopes, drowning out faint reflections from its surface. Even when spacecraft like Mariner 10 in the 1970s and NASA's Messenger probe in the 2000s managed to orbit Mercury, the results, while impressive, did not capture the world's imagination in the way Mars or Saturn's moons have. Instead, the data confirmed what scientists already suspected. Mercury was a battered, crater-filled planet with extreme temperatures and little chance of hosting life. For many, it was simply not worth the effort of further exploration. And yet, when Webb's golden mirrors shifted toward this overlooked planet, something extraordinary happened. Unlike traditional telescopes, Webb operates in the infrared spectrum. This allows it to cut through glare, dust, and shadow to reveal heat, signatures, chemical compositions, and subtle details invisible to human eyes. In the past, these abilities have unveiled breathtaking images of distant galaxies and nebulae. But when turned on Mercury, Webb began to peel back layers of the planet that no one expected could hold secrets. At first, scientists assumed the EO data would confirm what was already known: evidence of water ice in shadowed craters, confirmation of the planet's massive iron core, or perhaps a clearer picture of its magnetic field. Instead, Webb's instruments registered strange formations and anomalies that didn't fit conventional science. This was not just geology. This was something different, something organized, deliberate, and far too precise to dismiss as random chance. The fact that Mercury was chosen at all for this observation makes the story even more fascinating. Webb was never intended to spend much of its precious time studying nearby planets. Its mission schedule is tightly packed with requests from astronomers all over the world. Yet in this brief, almost experimental moment, the telescope turned inward instead of outward. And in doing so, it may have uncovered one of the most astonishing mysteries in the history of space exploration. Mercury, the planet we thought we already understood, suddenly transformed from an afterthought into the focal point of cosmic intrigue. What had long been overlooked as a barren rock now shimmered with the possibility of hidden secrets. And this shift, from seeing Mercury as irrelevant to realizing it could be central to the story of our solar system, set the stage for everything that followed. When the James Webb Space Telescope's first sets of data from Mercury were processed, the scientific team expected confirmation of what earlier missions had already hinted at. They anticipated images of cratered landscapes, vast volcanic plains, and perhaps a few refined details about Mercury's iron-rich crust. But what they found instead sent shockwaves through the community. Before we dive in, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. You don't want to miss any updates on the universe's deepest secrets. And if you love exploring hidden mysteries and unexplained discoveries, give this video a like so we know to keep uncovering them. Across several regions of the planet, Webb revealed patterns that looked nothing like random geology. Using its advanced infrared sensors, it detected surface formations that lined up with startling precision, straight lines stretching across kilometers of terrain, intersections forming perfect angles, and even faint outlines of grid-like structures etched into the crust. These were not the jagged, irregular scars left behind by meteor impact, nor were they the chaotic shapes produced by lava flows or tectonic fractures. They looked, instead, as though they had been arranged. Geologists and astronomers alike struggled to find natural explanations. Could repeated impacts from asteroids coincidentally create such regular shapes? Could ancient volcanic activity have carved trenches that mimicked the geometry of human-made design? While nature can sometimes surprise us with its symmetry, such as the hexagonal storm on Saturn or crystalline formations deep on Earth, the scale and repetition of these alignments on Mercury went far beyond coincidence. Even more perplexing was the way these geometric features seemed to resist erosion. Mercury's surface endures extremes of temperature that swing hundreds of degrees between day and night, as well as constant bombardment from solar radiation. Over billions of years, any delicate structures should have been worn away. Yet the patterns Webb detected were sharp, defined, and remarkably intact, as though shielded from the very forces that should have erased them. As scientists pored over the imagery, questions began to multiply. Were these features remnants of some geological process we do not yet understand? Or were they something altogether different? Evidence of intentional design by forces unknown. Some researchers privately compared the alignments to the Nazca lines in Peru, vast earthworks only, recognizable from high above. Others saw them as resembling ancient city grids or structural foundations on a planetary scale. Whatever the truth, one thing was certain: these anomalies defied expectations. Mercury was supposed to be a dead, simple world, an open book with no secrets left to tell. Instead, Webb had revealed a puzzle etched into its surface, one that seemed to whisper of an intelligence beyond mere geology. This discovery was not just unusual, it was paradigm-shifting. For the first time, humanity had reason to wonder if the smallest planet in our solar system might harbor evidence of something far greater than itself. And if the surface already held such mysteries, what else might lie hidden beneath? As Webb's infrared instruments continued their sweep of Mercury, they revealed something even more baffling than the geometric surface features. Beyond the strange alignments, the planet was glowing in ways that didn't make sense. Thermal maps, which normally display predictable patterns of heating and cooling across planetary surfaces, began to show irregular regions, zones that emitted heat at levels far higher or lower than the surrounding terrain. At first, scientists thought it might be an error, a calibration glitch in the instruments. After all, Mercury's proximity to the Sun makes it a brutal environment for any observation. But repeated scans confirmed the anomaly. Certain patches of Mercury weren't behaving like ordinary rock and dust. They were radiating heat in controlled, patterned ways, almost as if they were designed to manage or channel energy. Even stranger were the reflective signatures. Most planetary surfaces scatter light in chaotic, uneven ways, depending on the composition of the minerals. But Webb detected areas on Mercury that shone back with a sharpness and consistency more akin to polished metal or engineered alloys. These weren't random patches of bright regolith. They were highly reflective zones that stood out from the rest of the crust. Some of these regions seemed concentrated along the geometric patterns already mapped, as if the lines and grids weren't just surface scars, but part of something larger, something built into the planet itself. Others were isolated, glittering outposts, glowing like beacons against the scorched terrain. The implications were staggering. If these materials were truly artificial, they had survived billions of years of catastrophic impacts, solar flares, and extreme temperatures. That alone would mean they were crafted with technology far beyond our own. In whispered conversations, a few researchers speculated these reflective areas could be remnants of solar energy collectors embedded machines, or even surface markers, left to communicate a presence. The thermal irregularities, meanwhile, hinted at the possibility of heat being generated or released from beneath the surface, perhaps the byproduct of unknown mechanisms still operating today. Of course, skeptics were quick to counter. Couldn't exotic mineral formations explain the reflectivity? Might unusual iron-rich deposits be fooling the instruments? Yet, the reflectance spectra Webb returned did not match any known Mercury mineral signature. These weren't natural ores. The spectral lines suggested compounds and structures we do not recognize, perhaps even materials never before catalogued on Earth. For the scientific community, this was the moment when the conversation shifted from curiosity to urgency. The surface alignments could have been dismissed as chance, but the heat emissions and strange reflectivity were far harder to explain away. Something on Mercury wasn't just sitting there passively. It seemed to be active, engineered, or at the very least, deliberately arranged. And with every new scan, the unsettling thought grew louder. Mercury might not just be a lifeless world. It might be hiding the fingerprints of intelligence. If the surface anomalies startled scientists, what Webb found beneath Mercury's crust was even more unsettling. Using its infrared sensors to peer below the outer shell, the telescope detected strange, symmetrical layering hidden just beneath the planet's battered surface. These were not the chaotic, jagged patterns one would expect from billions of years of volcanic activity and asteroid bombardment. Instead, they appeared ordered, stacked in repeating intervals, like the floors of a vast buried structure. Ordinarily, planetary crust is messy. Volcanism produces irregular flows of magma, impacts scattered debris chaotically, and tectonic shifts crack rock in unpredictable ways. Yet what Webb recorded looked remarkably deliberate. Perfectly spaced strata extended for hundreds of miles, each layer reflecting thermal energy in near-identical patterns. It was almost as if someone had engineered Mercury's crust to be less like a natural shell and more like a constructed wall. Then came the rhythmic emissions. From deep within Mercury, Webb picked up steady pulses of heat rising in cycles, repeating with astonishing regularity. These weren't random fluctuations caused by the planet's rotation or its interaction with solar radiation. They followed a pattern consistent and almost mechanical in nature, like a signal beating beneath the crust. The precision was eerie. One emission would spike, fade, then return exactly on schedule, as though something beneath the surface was operating on a timer. On Earth, the closest comparison would be a geothermal power plant cycling energy, or a massive machine turning over at set intervals. But Mercury, officially, has no such mechanisms. It is supposed to be a dead world. Speculation quickly ran wild. Some theorized these could be remnants of ancient geothermal networks, vast systems once designed to regulate Mercury's extreme temperatures. Others suggested the emissions might be evidence of an internal power source, hidden deep underground, perhaps still functioning after eons of silence. The symmetrical layering, in this view, could represent support structures or conduits engineered to channel energy toward the surface. Even more tantalizing was the possibility that these discoveries pointed to a hidden grid, an artificial framework, running beneath Mercury's crust, too large and too precise to be natural. If so, then Mercury was not just a planet. It might be a kind of megastructure, a planetary shell built to hide or protect something within. Officially, scientists cautioned restraint. They spoke in measured tones about unknown geological processes and unexplained thermal dynamics. But behind closed doors, the language shifted. Engineers marveled at the precision of the layering. Physicists compared the heat pulses to coded transmissions. And mission planners began quietly asking the question no one had dared before. What if Mercury isn't just a planet at all, but a vault, a construct, or even a machine? The rhythmic heat emissions Webb detected beneath Mercury's surface were strange enough. But as the data was analyzed in greater detail, researchers realized they weren't just looking at random pulses of thermal energy. The fluctuations carried structure, patterns so regular, so consistent, that they began to resemble something far more extraordinary, a signal. At first, the team assumed the readings were the result of interference. After all, Mercury is bombarded by the sun's intense radiation, tangled in magnetic storms, and constantly under assault from charged particles streaming through the solar wind. Such conditions could easily create noise that might mimic repetition. But when the data was filtered, cleaned, and examined frame by frame, the patterns didn't vanish. Instead, they sharpened. What Webb had uncovered was not chaotic. The emissions pulsed with the steadiness of a metronome, breaking into sequences that repeated in ways reminiscent of code. Long bursts, followed by short bursts, rhythmic intervals that mirrored the binary logic of communication systems. The signals even varied in amplitude, creating clusters of beats separated by pauses, as though the planet itself was transmitting information. The idea was almost unthinkable. Could Mercury be sending out encoded transmissions? If so, who or what was responsible? Were these signals ancient, the remnants of some long-dead civilization's technology still echoing through time? Or were they active now, alive, and purposeful, beaming messages into the void? Skeptics were quick to suggest natural explanations. Perhaps the pulses were the byproduct of Mercury's molten core, resonating like a giant bell under the stress of tidal forces. Or maybe they were magnetic echoes created by the sun's immense energy slamming into the planet's fragile magnetic field. But even these theories had a problem. They could not account for the precision. Nature produces rhythm, yes, but not with the mathematical regularity that Webb recorded. As the sequences were mapped, some researchers began to notice repeating clusters that looked eerily similar to encoded data packets, the kind of structured bursts humans use in digital transmissions. One analyst described it as like listening to static on a radio and suddenly hearing the faint outline of music beneath the noise. The implications were staggering. If the signals were real and intentional, Mercury could be more than just a planet hiding mysterious structures. It could be broadcasting, either as a beacon to whoever might be listening, or as part of a system still functioning beneath its crust. This discovery deepened the mystery and forced a difficult question. Were these emissions the remnants of an ancient warning? A message left behind by intelligence that once inhabited or engineered Mercury? Or could they be something even more unsettling, an ongoing transmission, still active, still waiting, directed at someone or something far beyond our understanding? And if Mercury truly was speaking, then the real question became, who is it speaking to? As the evidence from Webb continued to build, geometric alignments, reflective anomalies, rhythmic emissions, and possible coded transmissions, scientists were forced into a position they never expected. The data didn't just hint at natural mysteries, it raised the boldest, most unsettling possibility of all. What if Mercury itself had been engineered? Across research circles, theories began to emerge. Some suggested that Mercury might have once been modified by an advanced intelligence, its crust hollowed or reinforced to house structures hidden beneath the surface. The symmetrical layering and repeating thermal pulses fit eerily well with the idea of a vast interior framework, designed with purpose, rather than born of chaos. Others proposed that Mercury may have functioned as an observation post, an outpost, placed at the heart of the solar system, where any civilization could monitor the planets, harvest solar energy, or send signals across space. Its location, so close to the sun, would make it an ideal power hub. Imagine vast collectors embedded into its crust, drawing endless energy from our star, then converting it into transmissions or even propulsion for unknown technologies. More radical theorists painted an even stranger picture. What if Mercury was not just modified, but entirely artificial? Could it be a colossal machine disguised as a planet? A vault holding information, technology, or even life sealed away billions of years ago? Its dense iron core, long thought to be the result of cosmic impacts stripping away its mantle, might instead be evidence of deliberate construction, metallic at its heart, designed to endure unimaginable conditions. Of course, the scientific community treaded carefully. Official statements stressed the need for further analysis and warned against jumping to conclusions. But behind the cautious words, excitement and fear swirled. Because if Mercury had truly been engineered, the implications were staggering. Humanity would no longer be the sole architect of structures in the solar system. It would mean intelligence far older, far greater, had left its mark right in our cosmic backyard. And there was another question: why Mercury? Why would such a hostile, lifeless world be chosen for such a role? Theories ranged from practicality to secrecy. Its nearness to the Sun could power technologies beyond our imagination. Its extreme environment might act as a natural barrier, discouraging exploration and preserving hidden systems from discovery. Or perhaps the choice was intentional: to place something of immense importance in plain sight, where no one would think to look. Each new interpretation only deepened the enigma. Was Mercury a vault, holding the relics of a civilization long vanished? Was it an outpost still transmitting across the stars, waiting for someone to respond? Or was it something even more mysterious, an artifact of cosmic engineering on a scale humanity has yet to comprehend? One truth began to emerge. Mercury, once dismissed as nothing more than a scorched rock, might in fact be the most important world in our solar system. A planet that is not what it seemed, and perhaps never was. Just as the findings from Mercury were beginning to generate quiet excitement among the scientists working with Webb's data, something unexpected happened. The observations were suddenly cut off. Webb, which had only just begun to peel back the mysteries of Mercury, was ordered to turn away. The official explanation was simple, even reasonable. The sun's glare posed a danger to Webb's sensitive instruments. Keeping the telescope pointed so close to the solar disk for prolonged periods, NASA said, risked permanent damage to the most advanced observatory ever built. On the surface, this explanation made sense. Webb is positioned at the second Lagrange point, 1,000,000 miles from Earth, shielded from the sun by its massive sun shield. Its instruments are cooled to just a few degrees above absolute zero. Any unexpected exposure to direct sunlight could jeopardize its delicate sensors. NASA had every reason to be cautious, but it was the speed and finality of the shutdown that fueled suspicion. Normally, when anomalies are discovered, data is carefully cataloged, debated, and peer-reviewed over months or even years. Yet in this case, access to Mercury's scans seemed to vanish overnight. Scientists who had been studying the heat signatures, geometric alignments, and rhythmic emissions suddenly found themselves locked out of deeper data sets. Discussions were quietly closed off. Requests for additional Webb observation time were denied without explanation. This abrupt silence ignited speculation. Was NASA genuinely protecting its telescope? Or was it protecting something else? Could the agency have glimpsed evidence so disruptive, so paradigm-shattering, that it feared releasing it too soon? To some, it looked like an information quarantine, a deliberate effort to contain knowledge before the public, or even the broader scientific community, could grasp its significance. Whispers spread quickly across forums, conferences, and among independent researchers. Some believed NASA was holding back confirmation that Mercury contained artificial structures. Others suspected the rhythmic emissions might have carried decipherable data, a transmission meant for someone or something beyond Earth. If that were the case, releasing the raw signal could trigger a global frenzy, or worse, alert powers not yet prepared to deal with such contact. There was also the possibility of politics. If Mercury did harbor engineered materials or structures, the implications for energy, technology, and even defense would be enormous. Nations might scramble to stake claims, demanding missions to Mercury not for science, but for control. In such a scenario, secrecy would be the first instinct of any government agency. Officially, NASA has said nothing beyond the safety concerns. But the timing, the secrecy, and the sudden withdrawal of Webb's gaze all suggest a story far larger than the public has been told. Instead of closing the mystery, the shutdown only deepened it. What exactly did Webb see on Mercury? And why was the world not allowed to know? If even a fraction of Webb's data from Mercury were confirmed, the consequences for planetary science would be nothing short of revolutionary. For decades, Mercury has been described in textbooks as a simple world, a dense, iron-cored planet that survived the chaos of the early solar system. Its thin crust and massive metal core were explained as the result of cataclysmic impacts that stripped away its outer layers, leaving behind a shrunken, airless husk. It was, in the eyes of science, the least mysterious of all the inner planets. But the anomalies detected by Webb tell a different story. Geometric alignments, reflective materials, rhythmic heat signatures, and subsurface layering are not things easily explained by random impacts or volcanic flows. If verified, they point to a world that is anything but ordinary. They suggest design, purpose, and perhaps even intelligence woven into the very fabric of Mercury's geology. Such a discovery would force scientists to rewrite Mercury's entire evolutionary history. Was the planet truly born from collisions? Or was it shaped, literally engineered, by forces we cannot yet identify? If its interior holds artificial frameworks or ancient machinery, then Mercury is no longer simply a planet. It becomes an artifact, a relic of engineering on a planetary scale. This shift would ripple through every corner of planetary science. Theories of planetary formation would have to be reconsidered. The assumption that our solar system evolved solely through natural processes, gravity, collisions, and time, would be challenged by the possibility of intervention. And if Mercury shows evidence of engineering, scientists would have to ask, where else should we be looking? Mars has long captured our imagination with whispers of canals and lost civilizations. The icy moons of Jupiter and Saturn, with their hidden oceans, are seen as potential cradles of life. But Mercury? It was never even considered. That oversight now appears short-sighted. Perhaps the smallest planet in our solar system holds the biggest secret of them all. The implications extend beyond astronomy. A confirmation of artificiality would be a watershed moment in human history. It would mean that intelligence in the universe is not a distant dream, but a reality, and that it left its fingerprints not light years away, but right here, orbiting our sun. Such a revelation would reshape our understanding of life, technology, and humanity's place in the cosmos. And perhaps most unsettling of all, it would raise an unavoidable question. If Mercury bears evidence of ancient intelligence, what became of it? Was it destroyed? Did it move on? Or is it still out there, watching, waiting, hidden in ways we have only just begun to uncover? Mercury, once thought of as the most predictable of planets, may in fact be the one that rewrites the story of our solar system forever. The idea that Mercury could bear evidence of artificial design does more than challenge scientists. It shakes the very foundation of human self-perception. For centuries, humanity has understood itself as the pinnacle of intelligence on Earth, and perhaps even within the solar system. We looked outward, assuming the planets were barren and lifeless, that the fingerprints of intelligence were ours, alone. But Mercury threatens to overturn that assumption entirely. If a neighboring planet holds signs of engineering or purposeful design, it suggests we are not the first intelligence to leave a mark in the solar system. Our sense of uniqueness, our cultural narratives, our historical pride, even some theological interpretations, could be fundamentally challenged. What does it mean for humanity to discover that intelligence, in some form, preceded us right here, in our cosmic backyard? Religious and philosophical frameworks would be tested in ways that are difficult to predict. For some, the revelation might inspire awe, a humbling reminder of our smallness in the universe. For others, it could provoke existential anxiety, questioning whether humans are merely inheritors or observers of a far older intelligence. discussions about creation, purpose, and life's origins would suddenly take on an entirely new dimension. The cultural impact would extend to art, literature, and storytelling. Artists might reinterpret Mercury not as a barren rock, but as a monument, a symbol of forgotten knowledge or cosmic mystery. Writers and filmmakers could imagine civilizations that came before us, leaving traces in places we have overlooked. For millennia, even social structures could be influenced. Debates about exploration, space policy, and resource allocation would suddenly have a moral and historical weight previously unimaginable. The philosophical implications are equally profound. Humanity has long pondered whether we are alone in the universe. If Mercury contains the remnants of intelligence, ancient, sophisticated, or even possibly still active, it reframes the cosmic question from "Are we alone?" to "Who else came before us, and what have they left behind?" It forces us to consider that intelligence may not be rare, that the solar system itself could be a laboratory of knowledge stretching back billions of years. In short, Mercury could challenge our place in the cosmos. It could compel humanity to rethink the narrative of life and intelligence, urging us to step beyond anthropocentric assumptions and consider a universe where we are part of a continuum rather than its origin. The discovery is not just scientific, it is existential. It forces us to confront questions about heritage, responsibility, and the legacy of life itself in ways that touch every aspect of human thought. Mercury, once merely a distant, sun-scorched rock, might soon be the mirror in which humanity sees its own limitations, ambitions, and perhaps its destiny. Even as Webb's golden mirrors were forced away from Mercury, the planet has emerged as an urgent new frontier. For decades, Mars, Europa, and Titan have captured the imagination of scientists and the public alike, promising the potential for life, water, and colonization. Mercury, by contrast, was often dismissed: too close to the sun, too hot, too barren. But the anomalies detected by Webb suggest that Mercury may hold secrets far older and far more profound than anything found on those icy or rocky worlds. Future missions could no longer afford to overlook it. Probes, orbiters, and landers designed to pierce the planet's crust might finally answer the questions Webb raised. Are these patterns merely geological quirks, formed by processes we don't yet understand? Or are they signs of an intelligence that existed long before humanity, encoded into Mercury's surface and subsurface as a testament to an advanced civilization? The challenges are immense. Mercury's extreme temperatures, crushing solar radiation, and proximity to the Sun make it one of the most difficult targets in the solar system. Yet, the stakes are higher than ever. Humanity is confronted with a choice: continue focusing on planets that may harbor microbial life, or direct resources toward a world that may harbor the echoes or even the machinery of intelligence predating our own. If Mercury's anomalies are artificial, then exploring them could redefine our understanding of technology, history, and cosmic engineering. We could gain insight into materials, energy systems, and architectural methods far beyond human capability. Every mission could carry the potential for discovery that reshapes science, philosophy, and culture simultaneously. Even without confirmation, Mercury has already shifted our priorities. It has become a symbol of the unknown lurking in plain sight, reminding us that the most profound mysteries can reside where we least expect them. The planet that once seemed insignificant may now hold the key to questions humanity has asked for millennia. Are we alone? Who came before us? And what lessons lie hidden beneath the surface of a small, scorching world orbiting our sun? In the coming years, Mercury may no longer be a footnote in planetary science. It may become the central chapter in the story of human exploration, a destination that forces us to confront the deepest truths about our place in the solar system and the cosmos itself. The golden mirrors of Webb may have been turned away, but the call of Mercury is louder than ever. Humanity's next great exploration may begin not with distant stars, but with the secrets hidden on the planet closest to our Sun. Even though Webb was forced to turn away, Mercury has gone from overlooked planet to the solar system's most intriguing mystery. Those strange patterns, unusual heat signatures, and hidden subsurface structures could hold evidence of intelligence far older than humanity. Future missions may finally uncover the truth, whether these anomalies are natural or the remnants of something extraordinary. Mercury may no longer be just a scorched rock. It could be the key to understanding our cosmic past. If you found this journey through hidden science, cosmic secrets, and potential alien infrastructure as mind-blowing as we did, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Don't miss future explorations into the universe's deepest mysteries, because some secrets are just waiting to be uncovered.